Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Lalema Aneja Dang with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs a high-level virtual meeting with the chief ministers of 6 COVID high caseload states and Delhi. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 81.25%. Parliament passes 3 labour code bills for the welfare of workers. Railways target to complete 100% electrification of broad gauge routes by 2023. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders won the toss and chose to bowl against Mumbai Indians. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the limit of use of SDRF fund by states has been increased to 50% from 35%. Chairing a high-level virtual meeting with the chief ministers and health ministers of 6 COVID high-burden states and Union Territory of Delhi today, Mr. Modi said the funds have been increased for states to tackle COVID situation. He reviewed the status and preparedness of COVID response and management. More than 63% of the active cases of the country are concentrated in these 6 states and a Union Territory. These are Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Punjab and Delhi. Prime Minister said tracking and tracing network needs to be strengthened. He also stressed the need for more focus in testing and treating and tracking. He said mask plays a crucial role to curb the spread of the virus. He said even during difficult times, India has fulfilled the needs of the world with life-saving medicines. In such a scenario, seamless transport of medicines must be ensured from one state to the other. Prime Minister said common public is unnecessarily disturbed by the stopping of goods between states. He said this affects both the people and livelihood. Mr. Modi said constant monitoring will help in continuing the supply chain. He also said that while fighting COVID-19, people need to move ahead with full strength on the economic front.
एक राज्य से दूसरे राज्य के बीच दवाइयां आसानी से पहुंचे, ये हमें सबने मिलकर के ही देखना होगा। संयम, संवेदना, संवाद और सहयोग की जो प्रतिबद्धता इस कोरोना काल में देश ने दिखाई है, उसको हमें और आगे जारी रखना है। संक्रमण के विरुद्ध लड़ाई के साथ-साथ अब आर्थिक मोर्चे पर भी हमें पूरी ताकत से आगे बढ़ना है। हमारे साझा प्रयास जरूर सफल होंगे।
India's COVID-19 cases crossed 56 lakh tally with 83,347 infections being reported in a day, while over 45 lakh people have recovered from the disease so far. The coronavirus caseload surged to 56,46,010, while the death toll climbed to 90,020, with 1,085 people succumbing to the disease in a span of 24 hours. The total recoveries surged to 45,87,613 in the country so far. The recovery rate improves to 81.25% today. The COVID-19 case fatality rate due to the coronavirus infection has dropped to 1.59%. There are 9,68,377 active cases of the infection in the country, which comprises 17.15% of the total caseload. According to ICMR, a cumulative total of 6,62,79,462 samples have been tested up to 22nd of September, with 9,53,683 samples being tested yesterday. In Odisha, 4,237 more people were found positive, taking the COVID-19 caseload of the state to 1,92,548. With the recovery of 3,834 persons, the total recovery of the state has also gone up to 1,53,213. The state now has an active caseload of 38,546.
For the last few days, the daily viral surge in Odisha continues to be in the vicinity of 4,000. Yet another cause for concern is the steadiness with which the viral virulence has been proclaiming itself, particularly in Khordha, the home district of capital Bhubaneswar, and Cuttack, the adjacent district. Khordha with 647 and Cuttack with 577 new cases continue to top the COVID-19 tally among all the 30 districts of the state, and that too by a wide enough margin. The silver lining, however, is about half the districts of the state have thus far managed to suppress the viral spread down below 100 cases on any given day. Girish Chandra Das, Bhubaneswar.
In Meghalaya, 170 new COVID-19 cases were registered today, taking the total number of active cases to 2,060, while 153 COVID-19 patients recovered, bringing the number of recoveries to 2,859. Out of the 153 recoveries registered today, 113 are from East Khasi Hills, 17 from Ribhoi, 17 from West Garo Hills, 3 from Southwest Garo Hills and 2 from East Jaintia Hills and 1 from South Garo Hills district. The Director of Health Services, Dr. Aman War, said that out of the 4 new COVID-19 deaths registered today, 3 are from East Khasi Hills district and 1 from Southwest Garo Hills district. He added that all the patients had underlying medical conditions and the number of COVID fatalities have reached 42. So far, the state has detected a total of 4,961 COVID-19 cases, out of which 2,060 are active, 2,859 recovered and 42 deceased. In the past 24 hours, 2 persons, including a 5-year-old boy, expired in Manipur due to COVID-19 positive, thus increasing the total fatality due to the pandemic in Manipur to 62. Meanwhile, 96 people, including 19 personnel of the Central Armed Police Force, were confirmed as COVID-19 positive cases in the past 24 hours in the state, while 221 persons were discharged. So far, Manipur has recorded total positive cases of 9,376 and out of this, 7,108 were fully recovered and discharged from different COVID care centers. The number of active cases now stands at 2,206. The recovery rate is 75.81%. Parliament has passed the 3 Labour Code bills for the welfare and protection of workers. Rajya Sabha gave its nod to these bills today, while the Lok Sabha had already passed it yesterday. The Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020 seeks to amend the laws regulating the occupational safety, health and working conditions of the persons employed in an establishment. The second bill, the Industrial Relations Code 2020, aims at amending the laws relating to trade unions, conditions of employment in industrial establishment or undertaking, investigation and settlement of industrial disputes. The third bill, the Code on Social Security 2020, seeks to amend the laws relating to social security of the employees in the country. Replying to a discussion on the bill, Labour and Employment Minister Santosh Kumar Gangwar said that these historic bills will have far-reaching effects on the interests of the workers by creating a time-bound grievance resolution mechanism. He said several provisions have been included in the bills to provide a safe environment to the workers and robust social security mechanism. He clarified that the government has not taken away the rights of labourers to protest. He said 14 days of prior notice period for strike has been put there to find an amicable solution of the issues to be raised by the labourers. He added that several provisions have been made for the welfare of the migrant workers. He said the process of licensing will be made online soon.
कार्यों को सुदृढ़ करने का प्रयास किया गया है, वहीं दूसरी तरफ उद्योगों को सरलता से चलाने के लिए एक सरल अनुपालन की व्यवस्था भी की गई है। अब उद्योग लगाने के लिए विभिन्न श्रम कानूनों के अंतर्गत अलग-अलग कई रजिस्ट्रेशन या कई लाइसेंस लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। जहां तक संभव है, अब हम रजिस्ट्रेशन, लाइसेंस इत्यादि को समयबद्ध सीमा में और ऑनलाइन प्रक्रिया के अंतर्गत प्रदान करने की व्यवस्था करने जा रहे हैं।
Intervening in the discussion, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said that these historic bills will ensure justice for the workers. He said several provisions have been made in the bills, including guaranteed minimum and timely wages, free health checkup facility, and allowances for migrant workers to visit their homes once in a year. He criticized the opposition for their absence during the passage of such important legislations.
भारत की आजादी के बाद 73 साल हो गए, लेकिन मजदूर जिस न्याय की प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे वो न्याय अब मिल रहा है। वेतन सुरक्षा, सामाजिक सुरक्षा, स्वास्थ्य सुरक्षा, तीनों की गारंटी देने वाली ये बिल है। केंद्रीय श्रम कानूनों की संख्या 70 थी और उसमें मजदूर उलझ गए थे, अब 4 कोड बन गए, तो ये न्याय अब जल्दी और अच्छा मिलेगा। इसकी मुख्य विशेषताएं क्या है? सभी मजदूरों को न्यूनतम मजदूरी मिलेगी, गारंटी। ये पहले गारंटी नहीं थी। सभी मजदूरों को समय पर वेतन मिलेगा। कहीं 1 तारीख को मिलता, कहीं 5 तारीख को मिलता, कहीं 7 तारीख को मिलता, कहीं 10 तारीख को मिलता, कभी महीने के अंत में मिलता। ऐसा अब नहीं कर सकते, समय पर वेतन देना ही पड़ेगा।
Talking to AIR News, General Secretary of All India Railway Men's Federation S.J. Mishra has said that the 3 labour code bills passed by the Parliament have given a lot of relief to more than 40 crore unorganised workers.
So far the workers are concerned. The Social Security Bill and the Occupational Safety Code Bill have given a lot of relief to the more than 40 crore unorganized workers. Because in this act, they have provided that the appointment letter will be issued to them. At the same time, there will be digital payment. ESI will be there. PF will be detected. So some security seems to be there.
The Railways has planned for 100% electrification of its broad gauge routes by 2023. This was stated by the Railway Minister Piyush Goyal in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today. The Minister informed that around 63% broad gauge lines have already been electrified out of a total of 63,631 route kilometres as on the 1st of April this year. He said a total of 23,765 route kilometre lines are yet to be electrified in the country. In another question, the Railway Minister said the vacant land of railways, which is not required for its immediate operational needs, is utilised in the interim period for commercial development to mobilise additional financial resources. He said station redevelopment is planned by leveraging real estate potential of sparable land and airspaces in and around the station by inviting private participation. The Rajya Sabha has returned the Appropriation Bills 2020 without discussion. The Appropriation Number 3 Bill 2020 provides the authorization of appropriation of money out of the Consolidated Fund of India to meet the amount spent on certain services during the financial year ended on the 31st of March 2017 in excess of amounts granted for those services as passed by the Lok Sabha. The Appropriation Number 4 Bill 2020 authorized payment and appropriation of certain further sums from and out of the Consolidated Fund of India for the services of the financial year 2021-21 as passed by the Lok Sabha. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman moved the bills which were returned with voice vote.
The benefits that the country will derive from this exercise would be the financial sector would be greater, resilient for this particular act which is coming in. Second, it will reduce the price of derivative products on account of optimal utilization of all the capital which will be available and enable banks to increase credit limits because they'll have more money now. They will have greater credit limits for counterparties and clients. Corporate bond markets will be greatly energized because the credit default swap markets will be better functioning now. Business exits will be better because improved recovery mechanisms will happen for financial contracts.
Members from opposition parties in the Rajya Sabha today held a protest in Parliament House premises against the 2 farm bills. Displaying placards, the members staged a protest march against the passage of the bills. The Rajya Sabha was today adjourned sine die, 8 days ahead of the scheduled time of the monsoon session in view of the COVID-19 pandemic. The monsoon session, which had begun on the 14th of this month, was scheduled to end on the 1st of next month. In his remarks, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that 25 bills were passed and 6 were introduced in the upper house during the 10-day session. The Lok Sabha will assemble at 6 p.m. and it is expected that the lower house will also adjourn sine die today itself. Lok Sabha passed the Major Port Authorities Bill 2020 today. The bill seeks to provide for regulation, operation and planning of major ports in the country and provide greater autonomy to these ports. It seeks to replace the Major Port Trusts Act 1963. The legislation provides for the creation of a board of Major Port Authority for each major port. These boards will replace the existing port trusts. Union Shipping Minister Mansukh Mandavia, while replying after the discussion on the bill, said that it will make the major ports in the country more autonomous and provide major thrust in the maritime sector. He said the bill will help the ports develop world-class infrastructure and will also enhance transparency in their functioning. After passing the bill, the Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with fitness influencers and citizens during a nationwide online Fit India Dialogue tomorrow. The dialogue is being organized to celebrate the first anniversary of the Fit India movement. The online interaction will see participants sharing anecdotes and tips of their own fitness journey while drawing out guidance from the Prime Minister on his thoughts about fitness and good health. Among those who will participate range from Virat Kohli to Milind Soman to Rujita Divekar, in addition to other fitness influencers. In times of COVID-19, fitness has become an even more important aspect of life. This dialogue will see a timely and fruitful conversation on nutrition, wellness and various other aspects of fitness. Well, you are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
All India Radio presents World News. News and views from across the globe. What happened? What is up next? The newsmakers and the highlights of the day. Every day at 10:20 p.m. in the night. On 100.1 FM, All India Radio.
And now it's over to Meenakshi Bahuguna for a review of today's proceedings in Parliament.
Thank you, Lalima. Now here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from Rajya Sabha. Writer is Sanjeev Chopra of PTI. The Rajya Sabha was adjourned sine die today, 8 days ahead of the scheduled end of the monsoon session due to the spread of coronavirus. The House has passed 25 bills during 10 sittings without any break. 6 new bills were introduced. The session, which started on 14th of September, was to end on the 1st of October. This was for the first time the members were seated at different locations and the chambers of both the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Referring to the difficult times due to COVID-19, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu observed that the 252nd session of the House had registered over 100% utilization of the time. He said, as against the scheduled available time of 38 hours and 30 minutes, the actual functional time of the House has been 38 hours and 41 minutes. He said, 1,567 unstarred questions were replied in writing by the government. Members raised issues of urgent public importance during 0 hour and 66 special mentions on which a total time of 4 hours 15 minutes was spent. Mr. Naidu said, despite the pandemic, 198 members have participated in the discussions on various bills. He lauded the members for the productivity of the session but lamented the unpleasant turn of events during the session. He appealed to all members to ensure that such unseemly behavior is not repeated. The chairman recalled that in 1997 and 2012, the House had resolved that all members will uphold the dignity of the House by complying with the rules and procedures and urged members to ensure the smooth functioning of the House. The chairman said he has been associated with the upper house for 22 years and got anguish whenever bills are passed in the den. The chairman said he was pained at the turn of events and had to perforce take action against members as per rules and procedures. He also lamented that some members announced the boycott of the House. Mr. Naidu said if the legislative work is not taken up during the boycott by some sections, it may legitimize such boycotts as an effective instrument of blocking legislation. Mr. Naidu said, though the current session has been satisfying in terms of productivity, there have been some areas of concern as well. He underlined the need for pondering over such issues for making a difference in future. The chairman lamented that for the first time in the history of the August House, a notice of motion for removal of the deputy chairman was given, which has been rejected. He further said the developments in the House surrounding this unprecedented move has been deeply painful for all those who hold the stature and the dignity of this August House dear to their hearts. Mr. Naidu said the overall productivity of the last 4 sessions comes to a praiseworthy 96.13%. This high productivity for 4 consecutive sessions is the best during the last 5 years, he noted. The upper house passed 15 bills in the last 2 sittings, with opposition parties boycotting the proceedings to protect the suspension of 8 members on Monday for their unruly behavior during the passage of the 2 key bills relating to the farming sector. The chairman said, though it is not for the first time that some members are suspended and bills are passed when some sections of the House boycotted the proceedings, it is extremely unpalatable, the chairman observed. In his concluding remarks, the chairman said this kind of situation needs to be avoided by all means. The House passed key bills including 3 on labour reforms, 2 appropriation bills and the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment. The Rajya Sabha bid farewell to 11 of its members who will retire in November this year. They include Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, Professor Ram Gopal Yadav of the Samajwadi Party, Veer Singh of Bahujan Samaj Party and Raj Babbar of Congress. Other members who will retire are Javed Ali Khan, Chandrapal Singh Yadav and Ravi Prakash Verma, all of the Samajwadi Party, P.L. Punia of the Congress, Raja Ram of BSP Neeraj Shekhar and Arun Singh, both of the BJP. And now review of proceedings in Lok Sabha. Writer is Anchita Bora of PTI. The Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die. The House passed the Major Port Authorities Bill 2020 after discussion. The bill seeks to provide for regulation, operation and planning of major ports in the country and provide greater autonomy to these ports. It seeks to replace the Major Port Trust Act 1963. The legislation provides for the creation of a board of Major Port Authority for each major port. These boards will replace the existing port trust. Union Shipping Minister Mansukh Lal Mandavia, while initiating the discussion, said that bill would make the major ports in the country more autonomous and provide major thrust in the maritime sector. A BJP member of the Lok Sabha today raised the issue of social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, allegedly arbitrarily censoring the content posted by users, especially those with what he called a nationalistic approach, and sought protection of such content. Raising the issue during the 0 hour, Tejasvi Surya of the BJP said, for a long time there have been many credible allegations made against the Twitter, Facebook and their affiliates of arbitrary and unilateral regulation and ensuring for content posted by the third-party users. He said this posed a significant constitutional challenge not only on the grounds of unreasonable restrict of free speech but also amounts to illegal interference during elections. The MP said Facebook, Twitter and similar platforms claim themselves to be intermediaries within the meaning of the term under the IT Act 2000. He said the key element of this definition is that the role of the said intermediaries is limited to processing, storing and transmitting data of third-party users and does not include intervention on content of the users, and therefore Section 79 of the Act provides these intermediaries exemption from liability. intermediary receives protection that a regular publisher does not receive, he said. Mr. Surya said, while this is the explicit spirit of the statute, the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines rules while laying down what sort of third-party content must be prohibited by the privacy policy and terms and conditions of the intermediary goes far beyond the remit of Article 19(2) of the Constitution read with Section 79 and 69 of the IT Act. It essentially empowers private party intermediaries to remove on the basis of user complaints or suo motu any content deemed to be in violation of its guidelines, he said. He said these guidelines are not only ultra-vires, the parent statute, but also is unconstitutional as the ground it provides are so wide that it will fail the standards of constitutionality set out by Supreme Court in Shreya Singhal case while striking down Section 66A of the IT Act. They are problematic because they empower private enterprises performing essentially a public function to act as censors as free speech without government oversight, thus effectively and severely impacting safeguards of fundamental rights to free speech. He said he urged the government to repeal such unconstitutional guidelines and issue new ones to govern social media platforms, thereby protecting the fundamental right to free speech of our citizens and protect our democracy from foreign interference, he said. That's all in Parliament Review. Now it's over to Lalima.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital, Delhi, will have partly cloudy sky. It will have a minimum temperature of 27 degrees Celsius and maximum of 37 degrees. In Mumbai, there will be generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature will be around 25 degrees Celsius and maximum around 28. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will witness generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the metropolis will be around 27 degrees Celsius, while maximum should be around 32 degrees Celsius. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 24 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 37 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky. In Srinagar, Ladakh, Gilgit and Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be 10 degrees Celsius and maximum 30. In Ladakh, the temperature will hover between 8 and 27 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature will be 15 degrees Celsius and maximum 31. In Muzaffarabad, the temperature will hover between 15 and 36 degrees Celsius. The News Services Division of All India Radio in its program Spotlight will broadcast an interview with Director General of Employees State Insurance Corporation and Additional Secretary in Ministry of Labour and Employment, Ms. Anuradha Prasad, on reforms in labour laws. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:15 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. In IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians were 142 for 2 in 14.2 overs against Kolkata Knight Riders at Abu Dhabi a short while ago. Earlier, Kolkata won the toss and chose to bowl. Yesterday, Rajasthan Royals beat Chennai Super Kings by 16 runs at Sharjah. In tomorrow's encounter, Kings 11 Punjab will take on Royal Challengers Bangalore in Dubai. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has congratulated Defence Research and Development Organisation for successfully conducting test firing of laser-guided anti-tank guided missile from MBT Arjun at KK ranges in Ahmednagar. In a tweet, the minister said, India is proud of Team DRDO, which is assiduously working towards reducing import dependency in the near future. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs a high-level virtual meeting with the chief ministers of 6 COVID high caseload states and Delhi. Limit of SDRF funds increased to 50%. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 81.25%. Parliament passes 3 labour code bills for the welfare of workers. Both houses of Parliament adjourned sine die. Railways target to complete 100% electrification of broad gauge routes by 2023. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders won the toss and chose to bowl against Mumbai Indians. Well, for details of these stories and more, you may log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.